grow your business during a recession. By the time you're done watching this video, you're going to learn how to make your business bigger while the economy is shrinking. We'll talk about what you can do right now before a recession so that you're ready when one hits. You'll understand proven strategies that work during times of recession, and we'll even talk about how you can repurpose some of your products and offerings like some of the biggest brands in history. You ready to get started? Let's go. Step one to be ready when a recession hits is to do something called scenario planning. If you're unfamiliar with the term scenario planning, go back and watch one of my various videos on scenario planning, but I'll provide you with the name of one of my videos, which is what are the strengths and weaknesses of scenario planning. But again, I do have several videos on that. Scenario planning is basically looking to the future and planning for alternative scenarios. So instead of just planning for the future we're expecting, which is what most people do, we tend to expect the future to look relatively like now with a few little changes, and we plan according to that. The truth of the matter is the future might look vastly different. So I want you to ask yourself 20 years ago what you thought the world would look like. Had you any idea that you would be attached to a phone that you never put down, that you probably sleep with at night? I'm not judging you, but I'm judging you. But I do it too. I have two phones. Same thing, right? Did we know that we'd have things like generative AI, that you could ask it to do things and it could basically give you outputs, whether it's art or words or videos that seem like a human created them? We had no idea that the future would look like this. So I say that to say that the way we typically plan is for a very similar now into the future. With scenario planning, where you look at what are some possible but still likely alternative futures, you create alternative plans so that you still come out ahead should those alternative futures happen. So let's say that a recession might be on the horizon. I know we always have people that are saying there's a recession coming, a recession's around the corner. That always happens in times when it's not a recession. There's always those people ringing that bell. And sometimes they're right. And sometimes they're just trying to get ratings and likes. It is what it is. But when you think that there's even the likelihood of there being a recession, there's a few things you should do beforehand. Number one, you want to assess the financial health of your business. Is your business living paycheck to paycheck? You know what I mean by that. It's not the same as us. If you don't get all your client payments in the month as you normally do, are you automatically in trouble? Or do you have a little bit set aside that can carry your business for a while? So I'll give you a personal example. This wasn't for a recession, but just after COVID hit, imagine here I am, a keynote speaker, where my primary mode of making money in my business is traveling places and speaking. So imagine how so many speakers were impacted when they couldn't travel to speak. When the very beginning, right when my calendar was starting to clear out a little bit and things were moving around, I remember calling my financial advisor and my CPA and just seeing where we were personally and professionally. The business had more than enough in reserves. In fact, I was told that even if my business didn't make money for another year, I could still afford to pay my staff and continue on. Now, the good news is my business did actually end up growing during the pandemic. I did a lot of virtual. Who knew, right? But at the same time, I did have to assess the financial strength so that I could make strategic decisions. And even though I knew I had enough, I started to cut things that weren't necessary, especially if I wasn't traveling as much. So there were things that I stopped paying for, like I didn't renew travel insurance because I wasn't traveling, right? So when you look at your business, look at your financial health and how likely you're able to make it in a certain recession environment. If you see that maybe you could use a little bit of help, you might want to start building your cash reserves. In addition to that, you also might want to start obtaining lines of credit. Doesn't mean you have to utilize them immediately, but it tends to be easier to get them before recession hits versus during a recession. So we just want to make sure that you're ahead of the curve there. Next step before a recession, you want to make sure that you're strengthening those customer relationships. How are you looking with your customers? Do they believe in your brand? Are they likely to continue through if the economy shifts at all? Work on maintaining those relationships with your customers. Diversify your revenue streams. So if you only make money in one way in your business, you might want to see if there's other opportunities. Maybe you produce XYZ widget, but perhaps you could actually make more money if you license the technology you use to create the widget. There might be other brands that would benefit from that. So start looking and seeing where are some other ways that your organization can start bringing in revenue. And then lastly, create contingency plans. Post-COVID, there were a lot of socioeconomic factors that impacted people being able to obtain or retain top talent, and even being able to get the materials they needed to operate their businesses, right? There were material shortages. And so start thinking about, if I can't get to my manufacturer in this place, are there other manufacturers I could still buy from, maybe local? Are there things that we can substitute? So those contingency plans will help you start planning for if the inevitable happens and there's a recession. But the beautiful thing is those contingency plans don't just help you in the event of a recession, they actually help you in the event of a lot of other different scenarios happening as well. So here's my little secret. While I mentioned that my business actually grew during the pandemic, but at the beginning we were assessing what the business looked like, and I was told that we had enough cash reserves to run the company for over a year, that wasn't an accident. I had been planning for an eventual recession. So it helped me during COVID, even though it wasn't a recession. So planning ahead just helps us stay relevant no matter what happens. So let's say that the recession has hit. Right now, pants on fire, hair on fire. What do I do? Well, two main things. Number one, start thinking about strategic partnerships. Can you merge with someone? Can you buy someone? Is it time for you to sell? Do you need to enter into some type of joint venture partnership? What can you do? Who can you partner with to help your business not just survive, but even thrive in times of recession? Even though recessions are typically looked at as a negative thing, there are opportunities that start to present themselves during that same time, if you're open to them and you're strategic. The second thing that you want to do, now the recession is here and it's, what do we do? Is streamline your operations. By streamlining your operations, it will help you cut costs. Most businesses have waste. Many of them have double entry in different things. They have systems that don't talk to each other. You have to employ people to fill in those gaps. Look at how your operation works and trim the fat. Trim the things that are not adding to the bottom line, helping the customer experience, making the company better. Sometimes it's hard. It's not always easy to do, but we do want to look at those. Speaking of things we want to look at, you're here looking at this video. I'm sure you like them. If you have not already subscribed, do me a favor, subscribe right now and invite a friend to do so as well. We don't want them to miss out on all this juicy content. And actually, I want to give you a few more tips on things you can do during a recession. I was only going to do 2 at first, but I decided there's a few more things you can do. Start looking at ways that you can innovate. So maybe you invest more time in R&D, research and development. Usually during a recession, there's things that start to fall apart or don't work. If you look around you, you may have the solutions to some of these problems, and you might have all the tools you need to create them within your company. You may want to consider global expansion, depending on the products or services you're offering. So you may want to expand out, maybe through people being able to purchase your products or services on the web. Now, during recession, we also have to be careful because that can impact the supply chain as well. So I don't want you to sign up for something you can't deliver on, but just consider expansion might actually make sense during recession, believe it or not. And the last thing is to create more customer-centric strategies. So many business innovations right now revolve around how do we make businesses flow better? How do we make it better for our internal team? How do we make it more profitable? I think a good example of that is, I don't know if you've ever had to make a phone call to your telecommunications company, but it's a special type of Hades. Trying to get to a human, how long it takes, how many buttons you have to dial, and forbid you have an accent or the line cuts or something, it's horrible. That is not customer-centric. That's about saving the company money. They don't care about their customers in that way. I'm not saying these companies don't care about us at all, but them implementing that goes to show that they're like, oh, they're not going to go anywhere else. They'll just take it, right? During times of recession, people tend to cut back on stuff. So for instance, a lot of people cut cable during the recession. A lot of people went to streaming services. That's why streaming grew so much, because everybody went to Netflix initially, and then, Hulu, and then Disney Plus. It was cheaper than these telecommunication companies that would keep them on hold when they had issues. So we do have to be careful, because while we might be the big dog or the only show in town right now, that doesn't mean it'll stay that way. So during a recession, make sure that you're keeping the customer in mind, because you don't want to be the thing that gets cut. All right, so here's the question for you. And this has happened in times of recession. I want you to ask yourself, Can your products or offerings be repurposed? So let's look at a few popular items that actually serve a purpose that's different now than what they were initially intended for. So, have you ever played with Play-Doh before? Yes, we've all played with Play-Doh. What if I told you that was wallpaper cleaner? It was repurposed as a toy, but it was simply wallpaper cleaner, which makes sense because you could see how you could put that against wallpaper and it would stick things right off of it, right? And so there's an opportunity right there where someone said, you know what, this wallpaper cleaner thing, this is cool, but what if we just add some colors to it, spin this off, and sell it to a bunch of kids as something fun to do that'll get caught in their parents' carpet? Fabulous. Now they just need to create some type of carpet cleaner toy. Have you ever played with a slinky, like watching it go downstairs? What if I told you that it was originally a balancer for nautical tools, but one day it happened to come loose from what it was affixed to on a ship, and there were stairs nearby, and it went down, and the sailors were so tickled, it was created as a toy. So this is something that heavy-duty equipment for a company that was turned into something children play with all over the world. And it's relatively inexpensive to make. Here's one for you. What mouthwash do you use? Do you use Listerine? If so, it was originally created as floor cleaner and surgical antiseptic. How is that? Okay, so there's an example of something that serves a completely different purpose. Did you ever think that you would be gargling with floor cleaner? Didn't see that one coming, right? And then here's one you're familiar with, Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola was originally invented as a cure for morphine addiction. A fun cure, you just drink it, makes you feel a little bit better. Now at the time, it might have had trace elements of another drug, we're not gonna talk about that, but it was originally created as a cure, not as some type of delicious beverage for us to just enjoy at parties or mix with rum. And then the last two examples personally tickle me. Viagra and Rogaine were both created to manage blood pressure. So I want you to stop and think about your organization right now and what you offer. Are there ways that you can repurpose what you're already offering to serve a completely different market? During times of recession, this is one of the very best strategies that we can use. While you're thinking about pivoting, I want you to think about some of the most future-proof industries. Because if you can pivot to those industries, that's an extra added boost. So, can you pivot your products or offerings to healthcare? What about waste management? Discount store chains? Home security alarms? Or maybe another recession-proof industry? So I just wanted to give you some more ideas just to kind of get you thinking about juicy things that you can do in the future so that you're ready for the next recession. Speaking of being future-proof, in the description of this video, you're going to find a link to download my Future Ready Playbook. This playbook is chock full of all kinds of activities and worksheets that will walk you through step by step what you need to do to future-proof yourself, your career, and your organization.